Joining me today is Marie Lozito, who is running for the New Hampshire State Senate in District 5. Marie, so the lightning round, 'cause I got a couple of issues. The first one is sort of guns, gun rights, gun regulation, Second Amendment. Where do you stand on that area?
I am a very, very strong Second Amendment supporter. I learned to shoot when I was a little kid. I was 8 or 9 years old when my dad taught me to shoot, and I was fortunate enough to be the sibling that inherited the pistol that he taught me to shoot with, which really pleased me. I was very happy about that. I believe that you should have the guns. I believe there should be safety training. I enjoyed it a lot when it used to be they had rifle teams in schools where you would have gun safety and handling. I'm a member of Sullivan County Sportsmen. We have an annual day in August every year where we have youth from the area and we teach gun safety and marksmanship that day. I've been a hunter. I think it's necessary to have them. It's a right. It protects us in our personal lives. And God forbid, it's also what the founders wanted us to be able to protect ourselves from tyranny of government, which I hope we never have to do again. The regulations that we have in place, sufficient, insufficient? I think they're sufficient. I think if the gun laws were enforced the way they are, we have more than enough gun laws on the books now.
Okay. Turn to another issue to kind of stay true to the lightning round concept here. The pro-choice, pro-life debate. To some degree, that may be settled on a national level, but where do you stand on that?
I consider the fetus a human being, and it's alive. When I was young, any abortion was illegal. You could not get one, period. I don't want to see us go back to that. I do not approve of how liberally it's being used nowadays. People are using it as a birth control method. When it should really be a last resort. Instead, there's plenty of birth control methods available at very reasonable prices or for free nowadays. They give out condoms in schools, for heaven's sakes. But to use it to kill a baby because it's inconvenient for you to have a child at this time, maybe you should have thought about that before you did what got you pregnant and take some measures to prevent having that pregnancy. I don't want to see it used as liberally as it is. I would like to see restrictions on it. I definitely think having underage children that you can't even give an aspirin to when you're a school nurse, being able to go and have an abortion without any responsible guardian, adult, parent, family member even know about it is dead wrong. Dead wrong.
Okay. Let me keep moving. We got about a minute and a half, I think. Education funding and education, sort of the state's role versus local municipal role. What's your thought? Yeah, what's your thought process?
Okay, just within this month, the court came down and said the cap on the state funding for school education is unconstitutional. I don't know yet if it's going to be appealed or not. My feeling personally is that the judge is right. I mean, if after the Claremont case, they decided that the state has a responsibility to provide adequate funding, which we know education costs a lot more than $3,500, which is about what they're funding for a child for a year, then the state should be coming up with that for every child for each year. The fact that they had a cap on it, I still have not, the Democrat legislature passed that in 2009, and I still don't understand the rationale for it. I have never understood that. I mean, if you have an obligation to provide X amount for every school-age child, then you have an obligation to provide X amount for every school-age child, so you should do it. But what I want people to understand is that whether it's coming from the state office or whether it's coming from your local taxes, either way, it's coming out of your pocket.
So if the state has to contribute more, and we got about 20 seconds, is there something you'd look at to find the resources to augment the state's contribution in the budget?
To augment, if I augment, then I have to raise taxes, and I would try desperately hard not to raise taxes because, like I said earlier, too many people are at the limit. They have one thing go wrong and they're underwater financially. There's too many people on the brink of not making it financially to keep raising taxes.
Okay, and I have to stop there because we are out of time. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Yep. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Capital Connections, your weekly access to politics and policy along the I-89 and I-91 corridors and how it impacts your life in our region. If you've got a comment or an idea for a future show, please email me. But most importantly, join us again at this same time next week for another edition of Capital Connections.